Just 2 days ago, the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent sat down with Tucker Carlson on a major interview to signal and show what could be some extremely bullish news for Bitcoin. We're going to break down this important interview and why having this kind of transparency is a great opportunity for those that are actually paying attention. So stay tuned.
Feeling that meme coin FOMO kick in, like you missed out on Doge and SHIB and watching Trump soar to number 2? Don't miss your next shot at flipping the script. Flapjacks is more than a meme. It's deflationary, sticky, and community built with utility. Don't wait for FOMO to set in. Stack your gains now at flapjacks.xyz.
Hey guys, welcome back. Drip Coach here with Drip and Farm Poor Poverty, where we don't trust, we verify, and operate with integrity and transparency. Now, I'm going to be the first to say that I never really followed politics, didn't care, wasn't concerned with it, and I don't really follow it now, but now that there is a clear line connected to my financial well-being, I am paying more attention. And I don't know if we had this level of transparency and this much behind the scenes or podcast style interviews before. I feel like all of this has kind of come together with social media and everybody being a broadcaster and journalist and walking billboard, basically, because they got a cell phone and connection to the internet. There's just more opportunities for messages to get put out there. So I don't know if previous Treasury secretaries sat down and did things like this, but this is the first time it's come on my radar, partly because, like I said, with social media, but two, because of what's happening with financial welfare. Now, for those of my viewers that are not familiar with the U.S. Administration, regulation, positions of government, all that stuff, the Secretary of Treasury is basically fifth in line to the seat of president in case something actually happens. So like if something were to go down, they would literally be the actual fifth in succession to take that position if the four before them were somehow eradicated. Also, what's most important is that they are the chief financial officer of the federal government of the United States. They serve as the principal advisor to the president in all matters pertaining to economic and fiscal policy. They are all about them dollars. So it's important to understand what is being whispered in the ears of the president, or what moves are being made. And when you have the opportunity to literally watch this entire 1 hour clip and hear what Bessent is talking about, it gives us an inside thread to go, okay, how can I use that to my advantage? And I want to play a clip from this interview that's over here on X nicely.
It was unclear whether we were going to exempt gold from tariffs, which I believe we have. So there was a big move out of vaults in Switzerland, out of vaults in London to get it into New York. And look, that there are a lot of different stores of value over time. Bitcoin's becoming a store of value. Gold has historically been a store of value. I think what's interesting is, where do we see the gold demand coming from? A huge amount is from China.
Yes.
Where they, as I said, they're in the middle of an economic recession/depression. People don't trust the Chinese currency because they have capital controls. There are 1.4 billion Chinese who all want to get their money out, and they won't let them. They will let them buy gold.
That is very interesting to me. Again, I don't really follow the economic policy and stuff like that, but just seeing what's taking place there about what's happening in China and with these tariffs. And we can see that, yeah, other countries are getting hit hard with these tariffs, and it's already impacting their bottom line, so to speak. UK German stock futures fall over 4%. Taiwan stock 9.8%. Chinese stock market's 10%. China stock market suffers worst single day crash since 2008. Now, again, I mentioned this before. I don't know if all of this was factored into the play of Trump talking about tariffs, but if you go back to Trump's history, he's been talking about tariffs for 40 years, way before this man ever ran for president. he talked about tariffs and how he's been big on tariffs. So he's been singing the same tune. It's not like he just came out of left field swinging for the fences out of nowhere. Like, he's 100% said what he's going to do, and he does what he says he was going to do, and he did it. So whether or not the markets believed him and whether or not this reaction was factored in, I have no idea. But that leads me to another clip.
So by now, you probably heard everything under the sun on what these tariffs are doing to the stock market. But when Trump was asked today point blank about the stock market, he shrugged and smiled and said, it's working.
Trump is not crashing the stock market by accident. He's doing it on purpose, and it's freaking genius. By tanking equities, he's forcing cash into U.S. treasuries. And that makes the Fed slash rates. Lower rates equal cheaper debt for the U.S. to refinance trillions. Drop mortgage rates. Weaken the dollar, and boom, exports take off. This is 4D economic warfare, and it's working. The elites are panicking right now. But the middle class, they're about to eat. Now, here's the wild part. His tariffs aren't about trade wars. They're about forcing companies to build in America. No one wants to pay the penalty, so they move their operations here. And farmers, they're selling more products inside the U.S., slashing grocery prices. Eggs are already down. Inflation is cooling. Jobs coming back. He's turning every pressure point into a middle-class power move.
Sorry, not just that, from what I was listening to somebody else, I think 40% of the U.S. stock market is actually controlled and owned by foreign entities. So they stopped buying treasuries a long time ago, especially in China. And instead, they've been putting their money into the U.S. stock market. So right now, seeing the stock market collapse, you're seeing those foreign entities pull their money out. And then also, like he was mentioning, all that money was primarily just benefiting the people at the top, because those were the companies and C-suite executives that were pushing their companies overseas for cheaper labor. And then those foreign investors in those countries that we're in were also putting additional money back into the market. So that money just kept circulating around the top. So yes, it's collapsing, and yes, it's brutal, and yes, we may see higher prices in the short term or whatever, but I'm just willing to weigh in on the fact that these moves being made are being made by people that are actually in the know. And that's why I brought up Scott Bessent first, because Scott Bessent was a hedge fund manager. He actually was the managing partner at Soros Fund Management, and they were sitting in like the top 10 of hedge funds in like 2010, I think it was. They're no longer up there in that range, but I think Soros Fund Management still has like 25 billion assets under management. So they're not by far in the top firm, but still a lot of money. The point being is that Bessent started his career in 1984 doing that, and has been around finance literally in some of the top hedge funds and moving massive sums of money for 40 years. So that's like global financial markets and understanding liquidity and politics on a global scale. Whereas on the contrary, Janet Yellen was all just theoretical. She was serving as the actual Secretary of Treasury right before Bessent, 2021 to 2025. And she basically just had theoretical knowledge. So she graduated from Yale, then taught as an assistant professor at Harvard, then became a staff economist for the Federal Reserve. So she just went straight from theoretical at Ivy League schools to bureaucracy and red tape working for the Federal Reserve. Like, there is no real world application here. So I'm betting on the person that actually had to make money in the real world and did it for 40 years to understand the markets, whispering in the ear of the president. And that's why I say you need to watch this entire, interview, because it gives additional context. And that's why listening to other people like this and like, Scott, that's another thing for another day. This guy break down what's actually happening. They could be wrong, but I'm erring on the side of caution and saying that they're right, because it just lines up with, again, the types of people that Trump hired, and then Trump's background as well. He doesn't come from politics. He comes solely from business, and he is familiar with global business investments. Now, like it or not, what he's done with his previous investments, going broke or bankrupt or whatever, making bad financial decisions, all that stuff, I don't care. The point is, he had skin in the game, and he is familiar with how all that works. And as I mentioned, he's been echoing this tune for 4 decades. Here's a clip from 1988, if I'm not mistaken.
We let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Open. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They don't have laws against it. They just make it impossible. They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. And hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect somebody that's beating the hell out of you, but they are beating the hell out of this country. Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. And yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
That clip is him on Oprah talking about tariffs, basically. So he's basically just doubling down on what he's always said from a business perspective, what he believes, and it's playing out in real time. Now, again, the only thing we can really speculate on is, was this all priced in, and is it going to go the exact way that he wants? But the markets will have to respond to this, and this is shaking up the controlled previous narrative, and you can still be on the winning side of this trade by betting specifically on Bitcoin. Like, not financial advice, of course, but looking at where things are going, that is the only safe haven bet that I would be willing to look into at this stage. Everything else, I have no idea what's going to happen. Maybe gold, copper, some other commodities. I don't know. I don't dabble with those. But Bitcoin, for sure. And it's because there's so much other uncertainty out there that this just creates an amazing opportunity. And as this video already, BTC wicked down to 74.5. And I put up in my chat, my Telegram, that I had some new buy orders in. So I actually caught some Bitcoin between 74.5 and 78 because I believe we're still going a little lower after this video. And maybe even lower than what I'm forecasting. But long enough time horizon, this is the outperforming asset over a 4-year, well, for the last 15 years. But if you're willing to evaluate at least over a 4-year time horizon, you'll be able to make bank. And I don't think we go much lower than the previous all-time highs of last cycle. If we do, then the all Bitcoin models and expectations are broken. So you can take that to the bank with me. If we wick below 67, 69, high 60s, yeah, I have no idea what to expect at that stage. Like, it is unknown territory. So I won't know what to do. I'll still be betting on Bitcoin, but there's no way to know what's going to happen short term or long term. Like, way too risky, too unknown. But the main TLDR, check out this video by Scott Bessent. Realize that he is an OG player in the global macro financial space, and that Trump has other people, not just like Scott in finances, but from other parts of business, whispering in his ear. So he's been thinking about tariffs for 40 years. So to me, this was all part of the plan. And now we just have to sit back and decide if you're going to believe it or not, and what you're going to do with the information and how you're going to capitalize on it. Because like it or not, it's happening in real time. And I saw one thing I want to bring up before we close. Yeah, this. Where was it? China stated they were going to stimulate. I don't know where the hell it went. There was a post about Chinese markets looking at stimulating, I think. I don't know what I did with it. But anyway, so China could start kicking some liquidity back into the markets. And then I believe the Fed will have to pivot as well, because the US markets can't take that much more of a beating. All right, that's all I got. Smash that HBO special, help brother out, like, subscribe, comment down below. And until next time, live daily and achieve your impossible. See ya.
Want to pay your in real life bills with crypto? How about send crypto directly to anyone with a bank account? Spritz Finance is a decentralized solution to be your own bank and connect your crypto earnings to real world bills and payments. They do not take custody of your assets and allow support on multiple blockchains and Web3 wallets. Sign up below using my referral link and you will get $50 back when you make your first $50 bill payment with crypto. Additionally, I will be using referral bonuses to airdrop, donate, or burn based on community feedback. Sign up now.